Welcome back to the Creative Process Podcast with myself, Jared Klein. Obviously, we have a guest on today. Again, this is a good streak of guests. I feel like the past handful of episodes have been super entertaining, awesome people to talk with, and awesome people for the viewers, or for the audience, to learn from. Been really informative lately, so awesome. It's a good string of episodes. Go watch the past like 5 or 10, or listen to the last 5 or 10. It's been a great time. But anyways, yeah, thank you for coming out. I like to, give some thanks before we roll into things. It's always nice to see people coming out and listening and saying, hey, that last episode was pretty dope. So yeah, again, thank you. I know I say this every episode, but I can't thank you guys enough. But yeah, anyways, Brant, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate the time out of your day that you are giving to, I know I said this before we started recording, but talking with a stranger. So
yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I enjoy to connect. I appreciate you having me on. Long-time listener, first-time interviewee, so this will be fun. For those of you that don't know, my name is Brant Wilson. I am currently the digital graphic designer with the Cincinnati Reds. So what that entails for me is a lot of the things that I do are social media based. So anything that goes out on our social platforms typically comes through me. A lot of what I do also entails advertising or something that goes on broadcast. So as it entails in the name, digital things, not a lot of print projects coming through me, but
okay.
I do have experience with that. So a very well-rounded experience in that. I came to the Reds after graduating Indiana University in the spring. I spent 4 years there thinking that I was going to be a cybersecurity graduate. Ended up with a design internship my freshman year. So I worked 3 years with the football team at IU doing some design, did some recruiting mainly, got all sorts of experience. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, it's just kind of been a wild design journey, starting from a place where I thought I was going to be in an IT field, and now here I am working my dream job. So it's been a great experience.
That's fantastic. Yeah, when we were messaging back and forth and you mentioned like an IT degree, I was like, no way, this is going to be so cool. It's like, it's just so fascinating every time someone tells their story, like where they come from. Sometimes it's like me. It's like I wanted to design when I was in middle school, and that's just kind of what I carried with. And then some are like, you were in IT, and all of a sudden design internship, and now it's like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Right, exactly. I was listening to one of your previous episodes with Brandon Swan, actually, who I had some overlap with at IU. He was a mentor of mine for about 2 to 3 months before he left for the Phoenix Suns job, but he and I kind of did the same thing with our degree path. We both started out in informatics and then just got to the point where like the IT field was just too broad and we wanted to narrow in on the graphic design part of it. So I found my passion, I stuck with it, and my degree says IT, but my passion's in graphic design.
Hell yeah. It's like that meme, graphic design is my passion.
Exactly. And I am using all the worst fonts for that, but here we are.
For sure. Yeah. Awesome. So I guess like getting into baseball, like, do you just enjoy baseball? Is that like one of your favorite sports? Is that why you wanted to go into it?
Yeah, I grew up, baseball's always been my passion. I mean, Reds baseball especially was like religion in my household. So my dad grew up just outside of Cincinnati. A lot of my family's still here. So I kind of knew that I wanted to be with the Reds in some capacity. Even when I was in the IT field, I was looking for IT jobs with the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, how often do those come up?
Right.
So just to be able to come full circle and be with the Reds in the capacity that I am now, it's just a dream come true.
That's cool. That's freaking cool. Yeah, I talked with oh my goodness, why can't I think I'm gonna have to? I'm horrible with names. This is the worst. I talked with, it was a recent episode, and I feel horrible. Oh my goodness, Will
Is
Stone.
it Will Stone?
It is
Yep.
Will. It is Will, with his like love for the Grizzlies, and I think like that whole notion of like, getting an opportunity to work within sports is an awesome thing to do in the first place, but then also getting the opportunity to work with like your favorite team, because
Right.
everyone's got a little bit of a fan in them, you like, yes, you're doing it for a job, but like you secretly want to, like not secretly, I've applied a couple times. I want to work with the Packers. That'd be fantastic. I live 20 minutes away. I've been a Packer fan my whole life. Like, I feel like everyone that's working within the sports industry that liked sports when they were younger, that's a little dream of theirs. I feel like that's lets in everyone a little bit.
Exactly. And I mean, going back to my designer internship with IU, my freshman year, our director of creative content at that point with football, he sat me down. He said, "So what's your goal out of this? Where do you want to be in your design journey?" And I looked at him and I said, "I want to design for the Cincinnati Reds." And here I am out of college, my first professional job. I'm designing for the Reds. I
Hell
mean,
yeah.
it's incredible. I mean, I'm waking up every day living a dream, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
That's fantastic. That's so great, man. That is so great. Like sometimes, like I knew I wanted to work I wanted to work in sports, but I thought I wanted to work within baseball, and then I went to because my internship when I was in college was within the Northwoods League. It's like a summer collegiate league in the Midwest here. I think there's a team in Canada now, but it's like Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, I think Iowa, Illinois, and I think there's one team is Kokomo a city in Indiana?
That is right. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I thought it was either Indiana or like way weird Illinois, but yeah. So it's like it's Midwest, but basically like you're working, like it's like a nonstop summer basically.
Right.
And so like I didn't mind that at all, and the relationships, like you got super close with your coworkers, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I think I may want to go this direction. And then I got into minor league baseball, my first job out of college, and I got like just burnt out. I got burnt out. It was, it was super fun. I love the people that I worked with. They're still friends. We still live in Appleton. So like they're still friends of mine and we still hang out. But yeah, it was just a lot, man. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose you probably don't have to work game days, do you?
I don't. So basically, what I do, since I'm the digital designer, I will make the templates for the social team to take over.
Okay.
So I go through a different couple of iterations of those sometimes. Just, sometimes when you look back on something you did at the beginning of the season, you see it now, you're like, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did this get approved? So I like to just go through and constantly try and update our templates just to give it a fresh look. Because, I mean, as a fan, I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So being the designer, knowing that it's in my hands, I want to keep it fresh and exciting for our fans. And that reflects our team right now. Mm-hmm. So I just want to be able to be on top of that and give our fans the best experience possible that I can, and the small part that I have in it.
Right. So you're mentioning templates. I'm currently having to do a little bit of that for a client that we work with at my current job with Capture. And I am running into the like worst roadblocks on how to design templates for someone that isn't super experienced in Photoshop. What, like for you, like, is it frustrating not using cutouts sometimes, or is it because I like want to use a cutout like of a player so bad, but I'm like, they're not gonna be able to switch this out, or I'm not gonna be able to like I want to get cool with like clipping masks and different effects, but it's like, how do I make a cool graphic, but also something that's super interchangeable that also doesn't look like the other 4 templates that we created, So it's like,
right. I definitely get that, because I want to make it as easy for our social team as possible, because they're working in real time. I'm
Right.
not doing that. So a lot of what I've had to struggle with and learn with is, like you said, being able to make templates with just photo slots.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you feel like it's limiting your creativity, and like you have this grand idea in the back of your head that that you could pull off if you were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand the pace that comes with working in social media. So a lot of what I do is I'll turn to Pinterest. I'll look at a lot of different designs. A lot of social media advertisement is what I try to look at, because a lot of that doesn't deal with cutouts. The Orlando Magic, Tony, I can't think of his last name.
I can't pronounce. I'm not even going to try to prounds his last name, but I know.
I think he's well known enough in the community, but he does a fantastic job with being able to just do graphics without cutouts, and it amazes me. So I like to study a lot of what he does. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to find something close enough to what I want to do and make my own iteration off of it and be fresh and make something, like I said, that's simple enough to edit and get out quick enough for them to get it out in real time.
Yeah, that's something like of my skill set within design that I struggle with.
Definitely.
I think my process when I'm creating something that I know I want to looks cool, like I want it, obviously you want it to look cool, you want it to, be engaging. but my mind just goes, to all the effects right away. And it's like,
Right.
maybe I should take a page out of your book, like look at Pinterest, look at Tony's work. That would probably help me a lot. But yeah, sometimes I just get caught up in the like struggling on how not to include a a cutout or like add like a rim light or something,
Right. Yeah. And in my experience, I was, for lack of a better term, I was brought up in college recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you want to stand out against everybody in that field. I
Right.
mean, and you're constantly comparing yourself. So I think that created burnout in a way for me. So I was constantly always trying to start with a cutout.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even that limited my design capability because I was totally blocking off another side of design, which I'm struggling with now, and not using cutout, not using as many effects. So it's just, I'll call it dumbed down design is what I'll call it. Just
exactly
being able
what it
to
is.
just do the dumbed down design and be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to be flashy. You have to be practical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like maybe I just have to go back to the roots of like graphic design principles and really
Exactly.
think about how a viewer is going to be able to take this in and how everything's going to work out. Maybe I should just do that. I think maybe that's just step one.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Start from the basics and move from there,
Nothing wrong with that. That's what I like to do.
So frustrating sometimes though. So
Definitely.
frustrating. So working with the Reds, within the MLB, obviously you're competing with a lot of teams and a lot of eyeballs because of, obviously how nationwide the sport is, right? There's fans from everywhere for every which team, whatever. So when working with your creative coworkers, within the creative space, obviously I think everyone's creative, but when I say creative, creative directors, other designers, photographers, those type of people. When you're working with them to try to develop, a look, when talking about standing out and making sure like you're catching eyeballs, what is being considered with the Reds?
That's a great question. Luckily, I work with some great people. I mean, from our creative director, our design manager, the two graphic designers that are with me, I mean, they make going to work every day a joy. And they're great people. They took a chance on me. So I believe that I owe them everything, the best of my ability. So they've really preached a team mentality. And we get together at least once a week. And right now we're going through the process actually of planning next year's look just to get a little seed planted and begin to grow on that.
Mm-hmm.
So today, actually, I've been working on a lot of social design concepts and I just kind of went off on my own. I had an idea. I brought it to our design manager and she said, keep pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no negative feedback. She said, keep pushing it. She said, I love what you're doing. See where you can take it next.
Mm-hmm.
Make a billboard, make a social ad, make a marketing ad, and see how you can make a comprehensive look.
Mm-hmm.
So we do know that we're up against these other teams, especially on social. But I don't know that it's necessarily that we want to stand out as much as kind of fit into the MLB mold. Obviously, you have teams. I know you had Robbie Pillane on the podcast. What the Royals do, unbelievable. I mean, there's some team that you look up to and you'll just think, how can they do this consistently?
Mm-hmm.
Another team I look at is the White Sox. They do unbelievable things with just a black and white color scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just being able to take inspiration and the creativity of these other teams and seeing how we can fit it to our brand and push our brand, because you do have to stay within your style guide, but it's how can you push it without fully breaking it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can put some cracks in it. You can have fun with it. Don't break it.
Push it to the limits a little bit.
Exactly. Why not go in with that mentality?
Right.
I mean, if you want to stand out, push it.
Mm-hmm.
So have some fun with it, but don't go too overboard to where you're putting lens flares and broken ground effects and cracks and all that. Just make something that's clean, make something that you're proud of, that your coworkers are proud of you for working on, and just really internally be proud of what you're working on.
Mm-hmm. So with the audience of the Reds, is it like pretty strong locally? I don't really know the fan base of the Reds at all.
Cincinnati is a huge baseball town.
Yeah.
It's become even more football recently. So we're kind of trying to, I wouldn't say we're battling with the Bengals, but we share that strong fan base. Obviously their success has helped them a ton in recent years, and their media team has done very, very well. But yeah, it's a very strong and passionate fan base here. When things are going well, they're going to love you, and when things aren't going so well, you'll hear about it. But I mean, that's expected from any fan base. But
Yep.
it's just, yeah, it's a very close knit fan base that wants their team to succeed.
Yeah, the success with the Bengals, I think that's like a positive for the city. Well, obviously it's a positive for the city of Cincinnati, but like just sport because the Bengals were so bad for a little bit there. Like Carson Palmer was okay, but then they like maybe they had a quarterback from him, but then like Andy Dalton was okay for maybe like
Right.
1 year, but then like all of a sudden they got Burrow and he's like second best quarterback I would say arguably in the NFL. Matt Mahomes is number one, but
Yeah,
um,
we can. Yeah.
but yeah, I think like within cities where like I think that also helps the other teams within the city, right? Like I'll just use Milwaukee as an example. Like the Brewers have kind of been average, the past handful of years, and now the Bucks are coming up and they're like a top team in the East. I think like maybe it doesn't coincide directly, but the Bucks' success, them going to the finals, them being competitive, with that success, the Brewers have also been decently successful in those successive years as well. So it's like I don't know, like I like to think that it coincides pretty well because the city's confident, fan bases are super committed, they're going all in, they want to see their team succeed. Yeah, I think that coincides a little bit. I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but yeah, I think that's success. And seeing the Reds play now, they're super exciting to watch. They're very exciting to watch. I love watching the
Exactly.
Reds and watching the highlights whenever I can catch that. Such exciting players now.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, this was a team that was picked for 65 wins, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and they've already surpassed that. And you have a core coming up of Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McLean, Spencer Steer, Andrew Abbott, and Obi Marte. I can keep the list going. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, it's kind of like the Bengals at the same time. They're both building these cores that they're
Mm-hmm.
about to continue, hopefully, dominant years with.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Cincinnati is just such an underrated sports town. I mean, it's electric when things are going well. Um, and I think I wish it could just continue to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as both a Bengals and Reds fan throughout my entire life, I wish that selfishly, but I mean, it's just so exciting. I mean, there's so many good things on the horizon, I feel. So it's definitely exciting to be here in a capacity to where I get to, be in the middle of it,
Mm-hmm.
be a part of it in a small way.
Mm-hmm. How close is Dayton to Cincinnati?
It's about an hour north of here.
Okay, so it's decently close.
Right.
Okay, and that's the single A affiliate.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
Dayton
Yeah.
Dragons.
Okay. Yeah, because I know they had Noelvi Marte last year when I worked with the Timber Rattlers, and I know that was super exciting within the single A, like within the league. Um, and I know they've been a decent team the past
Mm-hmm.
couple
Yeah.
years. Does that kind of help with the baseball culture too? Like going statewide and like do fans come down from Dayton to like
Yeah.
be
It,
involved and everything and
I think it definitely does. We actually had a Dayton Dragons Day at the stadium a week and a half ago. So we had a decent amount of people come down from Dayton just to be there and
cool.
experience. And you even have the AAA team in Louisville Bats. So that's about
That's pretty close.
2 hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, especially when you have prospects from the Bats being called up to the Reds, I think that draws a decent amount of people. So, I mean, the pipeline is rich with talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just like I said, the future for this team is so exciting and so many people are getting on board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great time to be a Reds fan.
Mm-hmm. So along the lines of like standing out, like do you think it ebbs and flows with team success within the MLB? Do you think that's like a direct correlation to having your team stand out a little bit
I
graphically
think
and creatively?
right. Yeah, I think it definitely can be. When you get an exciting player like Ellie De La Cruz, you want to elevate your graphics to match his excitement.
Mm-hmm.
He has definitely helped kind of as a creative inspiration because you have to match his swag, like I said. So that's caused me to kind of reevaluate where my graphics have been. So it's like, how do I help? He's gonna get the interactions on his own, the
Mm-hmm.
engagements on his own. So how do I create something that helps kind of elevate his brand in a little bit, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense?
That makes complete
Um,
sense.
yeah. So I think you have these exciting players. So why not reevaluate where you're at? And like I said, push the limits of your brand with these graphics with these players
Mm-hmm.
because they're pushing the expectations of the team. So why don't you reflect that?
Mm-hmm. For sure. We had to do that a little bit with Jackson Churio last year. For the people that don't know, Jackson Churio is from Venezuela. He's like 19 years old, big prospect in the Brewers organization. I want to say number 2 in the pipeline rankings for minor league prospects. So he was a big deal. The fan base in the Appleton didn't really know who he was, so we kind of had to, introduce him to our fan base. And then once he got here and he hit like 300, 300, I think the whole time he was here, and I think he was here for maybe like 3-4 months, and then he got called up to Biloxi and then stayed there, obviously. But yeah, being able to match that, I think it's a little bit different. It was a little bit different with us though, because like our fan base is so local. Like we don't have any fan base outside of the Timber Rattlers. The Timber Rattlers doesn't really have much of a fan base outside of Appleton, Wisconsin, and outside the Fox Valley. So, like designing to the swagger really wasn't a thing that we had to do, but designing to his energy, we kind of had to do, and how many things we put out for him, and stuff like that, and making sure our fans were informed. So, yeah, completely understand. Like Ellie is a completely different beast when it comes to MLB prospects and stuff like that. Like. He showed out. Like, was he in Single A last year?
I believe that's right. Yeah, he was in Dayton.
Oh my goodness,
I think
man.
June of last year he was in Dayton, and June of this year he hit for the cycle in his first 15 games.
Oh my goodness, just crazy. Is he from DR?
I believe so.
You believe so?
I might be misquoting that. I'm not entirely sure. I should know these things.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Ellie de la Dominican baseball infielder. Yes, Dominican Republic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just I feel like as designers and as people producing creative content, I feel like it just becomes so much easier.
Definitely.
Like,
it does.
It's going to splash, but then also the confidence, like you're coming in with a confidence, like designing around this super exciting player. And you're like, I got to produce something dope just because of like, I'm making this. It has him on it. I'm doing it. This is going to be sick,
I mean, we knew that he was coming. We kind of had heard rumors of when he may get called up. So right. I made his welcome to the show graphic a little early. And I sat on it for like 2 weeks. I just kept going back to it every day. I was like, does this suck? Mm-hmm. Like, is this going to match what I want it to? And I just kept looking at it longer. I was like, this sucks. This isn't going to work. And it finally got posted, and it's like our most engaged Twitter post of all time. I think it hit over 4 million.
Holy crap.
So it's like, yeah. So it's like, you knew he was going to bring that hype. So,
that's pretty crazy. 4 million interactions?
I believe so.
That is insane. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he brings the energy, man. Is he even eligible for Rookie of the Year?
I believe he is. He did get a late start in early June. Right. So, but I mean, it's going to be amazing to see what kind of awards he wins in his career.
Oh my goodness, man. Like he does have the swag. He does have the swag. He's super exciting to watch. Like even as like not a Reds fan, like I've tuned into the Reds just more because of him. That's just the draw.
Yeah. I hear that all the time. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like there were so many people even around Cincinnati that swore off the Reds that are coming back. I mean, he is just completely flipped the script.
Oh my goodness, man. So a big thing, I'm going to kind of transition here into the city uniform and your guys's, awesome uniform that you guys have. You're all blacked out with the red like striping, and oh my goodness, it's so good. Or piping, that's the word. Piping. That's the word. When developing that creative for that, I think your city uniform ranks like probably top 5 within the MLB of like best city uniforms. So kudos to whoever was in that design process. That was fantastic. But when designing for that, I'm just curious, like consideration and, the unveiling of everything. And I didn't do research. Where does the design come from exactly? Like, where does it draw inspiration from?
So the whole Cincy uniform is about kind of the future of the city. It's about moving forward. We've had this great past, so it's about connecting Reds baseball now with the future of the city. So that's
Okay.
kind of where the futuristic black comes from.
Okay.
So it's just kind of about pushing forward how awesome and swaggy the city of Cincinnati is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When when designing for that, when developing creative for that, what kind of conversations were you guys having?
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting conversation from my point of view because when our uniforms got unveiled, I was actually still on campus at IU,
Okay.
and they didn't want to give me any of the design work just because it was so top secret. So
Mm-hmm.
it was on embargo for me until the week leading up until we wore the jerseys for the first time,
Okay.
and that was the week that I moved to Cincinnati. So I was out of office that Monday moving in. So I essentially had 4 days to create a look for the social media. So that's coming up with lineups, templates, all
Right.
sorts of stuff, one off graphic looks. Um, so that was a hell of a week. That week flew by just trying to catch up with everything, get caught up to speed. It was my first week in the office. Um, but it's really about trying to reflect, like I said before, kind of the swag and just the excitement of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And throwing black as the main color and having red as the accent color is kind of the inverse of what we've typically done before.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a unique challenge. I mean, being a Reds fan, I'd been up to date with all the creative the years that I wasn't working for the team, so I wanted to do something that stood out, and it was really fun. It was challenging, but it was really just about being creative and kind of just being forward thinking. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a really unique challenge.
Yeah, the look, like when you think Reds, it's like even your away unis are gray, right? So like you guys
Right.
don't really have a dark, like prominent dark color in your palette. So like thinking Reds, it's either like all red or like I think like white mainly and red accents, just because like that's the your home uni and that's just how it's been, it seems like forever. So it's like, like once the uniform came out and it was like all black with the red piping and the different looking like word mark on the front too, with the white and the red, kind of offsetting each other. I don't know what that term is called when they're like offsetting like that. Like I want to say like it almost looks like chromatic aberration, but it's not because
Right.
it's not like RGB or anything. So, but it almost looks like neon a little bit, but whatever. But that's besides the point. But like when seeing that, I was like so hyped because like it doesn't even pay homage to like old uni, or does it? Did you guys have an old uni at all that was all black?
We never had black. So in our Nike closet, as they called it, we had never had a uniform that looked like that. So it's like I
Okay.
said, it's all about the future. So it's trying to push the boundaries forward.
Yeah, so like that was also really enticing to get into because it was like completely different, at least based off of what I've seen, and now I've been reassured that it's completely different,
Exactly.
and it was like holy crap, the Reds aren't white and red anymore. There's something different, and like it was super cool looking when the reveal was super cool looking when it came out. Like all the players looked super dope in it, and I was like, oh, I'm locked in. And then my buddy Brad LaFeld, he's from, I think he lives in Dayton, Ohio, either that or just outside of Dayton, but he's a Reds fan. And he got the hat, and then I saw him with the hat on, and I was like, I need the hat. So yeah, it was just everything around that was just super enticing. And like I know some teams with their city uniforms, they go like they pay homage to old unis or old like logo marks, like the Mariners one with the M trident. I can't think of the Brewers with like the powder blue. They used to have some powder blue in their look. Like those type of things. They pay homage to older unis, and then now you have the Reds coming out with a black uniform. That's never would, like baseball fans never would have seen that, and all of a sudden it's here and it looks freaking sick. I think that's just part of the. Was that like part of the marketing power? You think?
I think it was because it was something that, like you said, had never been seen before in Cincinnati. I mean, we have a slight homage to our old teams. We have the five stripes,
Mm-hmm.
which correspond with our five World Series. But as I keep saying, it's just about moving forward. It's what the city of Cincinnati is going to see from these Reds. And I think it's awesome that those uniforms came out when they did,
Mm-hmm.
because our new core is here. So this is the new core that's going to be the ones delivering the championships and the exciting baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it corresponded really well, and the marketing just kind of did itself with that, with the play of the team and just the excitement around the city.
Mm-hmm. Where would you rank MLB city uniforms? What would be your ranking?
Ooh. I mean, we got to go the Cincy one's number one, right?
Right. Okay. Take Cincy out of it. Cincy's number one.
Oh, that's no fun.
Take your bias out of it. If you would go yeah, Cincy obviously is your favorite, but like if you take your bias out of it, what would you rank like top 5? I pulled one up here too, just so I can.
I don't know that I can say this publicly, but I love the Brewers. The Brewers uniforms are great. I know. I don't know if I might get ran out of the city for saying that, but oh man, I love theirs. I gotta pull some up here just to make sure I'm not missing any.
Here, I'll link this to you quick. This will be super quick. I'll link it in your Twitter DMs.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm looking at right now. They have the Reds at 11. This ESPN one.
Oh.
They have the Reds at 11.
They added an extra one,
which is disappointing.
I know.
It's definitely not 11.
I do love the Southside White Sox. That's another one. So I'll pull out my 3 here. How's that?
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll go Brewers, White Sox, Washington Nationals. I like their little gray with the cherry blossoms.
With the cherry blossoms?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll keep that as my top 3.
Yeah. I think that's a great choice. Those are great choices for your top 3. If I were to rank them, I might as well take a stab at this.
Give it to me.
If I were to rank them, I would probably go. See, I don't really like. I mean, I wouldn't rank the Brewers in my top 5. It's cool, but what's putting me off is the word mark and like logo mark on their hat, the MKE with the 414. It looks kind of crappy to me.
Gotcha there.
So I would take that out. My 1 would probably be the Texas Rangers. Pretty cool. I like the classic look to it. I think that's where they're paying homage to as well. The class, like the older vintage look to it. And I also have the hat, and I think that TX, symbol on the hat looks so cool.
Oh yeah, they nailed the logo.
Yeah, it looks so cool. And the numbers, the red numbers on the chest.
Yep.
So cool. So cool. You usually you see it like logo chest and then numbers like opposite like abdomen, but you never see them together. It's all right. It's just a great change. I love it.
I wasn't a fan of the black pants at first with those, but I mean, they kind of grew on me once I saw them on the field. I feel like that's how most of these are. Mm-hmm. It's so much different when they're in play.
Mm-hmm. So my number 2 would be the Reds, and then my number 3 would actually be Space City for Houston.
That's another good one. There's just Nike did such a good job with so many of these.
Such a good job. And I think the one, so they have the Colorado Rockies ranked at 1. I think it's blatantly based off of their license plate, So the design was already pretty much done. It's a cool execution. It's a great execution. I think it's very unique. It's that you don't really see Rockies when you see it. You see, you see Colorado. You see you see the Rocky Mountains. You see the color palette of Colorado, and even the logo on their hat. That's Colorado, and I think it does the purpose, right? But I just my preference is just I don't know. It's just not the best. But yeah, what did I say? I said 2's the Reds, 1 is the
Rangers,
1 is the Rangers,
Astros, correct?
And then Astros, yeah. That would be not my number 3.
So let me ask you a question here.
Okay.
Which uniform would you like to design for the most?
Ooh. Probably either Pittsburgh or
Little gradient.
Yeah, the yellow on that'd be so cool. Or Baltimore. Just because the black and like Baltimore or the South Side for the White Sox, the black and white and then accents of any other color with that. Yeah. Especially like with Baltimore's jersey with their pipe Is that piping or is that like a collar on their sleeve? Like what's that
Like
called on their
they're,
sleeve? What is that
I
called?
don't even.
You know what that's called?
I honestly don't have the correct term. We'll call it a collar.
It's not like a wristband, but it's like a whatever the bottom of your sleeve is called, whatever that's called.
Right.
They
We'll
have
give the
like
people a visual.
yeah, like they have the like a bunch of those colors on there, and like
Right.
I think that's just so enticing when you're black and white, and then you just add a little splash of color, splash of color here, splash of color there, just use it as accents, and yeah, I think that would be so cool. But my favorite would definitely be Pittsburgh. That the yellow and black just goes so hard. I love yellow, the yellow and black. It just goes, especially with yellow primary. You don't really see yellow primary. You'll usually see black primary with the yellow secondary.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, you could do a lot of cool things with that gradient. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
it really hits, man. I love that the color scheme that they got going on. They also kind of flipped their, the Pirates never really had
They did.
I mean, I may not know Pirates history, but like I've never seen a Pirates jersey with yellow primary before. Even
Yeah, I'm not
like
sure that.
even like a Pirates hat, even like old Pirates stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I try not to pay a lot of attention to the Pirates as a Reds fan, but
Yeah.
you might. I think you're right.
Yeah, the Pirates suck. It's fine. I'm the same. I don't.
Old.
Only time I pay attention is when they take last in the Central. That's the only time I pay attention. Shout
Take
out
them
to
while
any.
they're down. Why don't you?
Yeah. Shout out to any Pirates fans listening.
Yeah, we love you guys. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. So one thing we talked about a little bit, I'm going to kind of segue back into design talk a little bit. One thing that we kind of talked a little bit already is the aspect of excitement around, for instance, around the Reds with all the new players and everything coming on and stuff like that. So my question relating to more of a marketing side rather than design side, like conversations with your social team, conversations with your marketing team, excuse me, and capitalizing on that excitement. How did that kind of go? Since you guys, you had all these great players come up, young players kind of revitalizing the talent a little bit in Cincinnati. How did those conversations go when talking about the marketing side of things and pushing things out and, making sure everything is kind of going out as the excitement is building and then keeping it consistent? How did that kind of go?
Definitely. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by very creative people and people that are very, very good at their jobs. Our marketing communication team is phenomenal. Our social media team, top tier. It's like you said, it's reflecting the excitement of the team. So our tagline that we kind of settled on is "This city, this team," because this city and this team are one together. I mean, the excitement's there. Cincinnati is a very blue-collared, hard-nosed, gritty city, and this team kind of plays that same way. I mean, they're doing things that a Cincinnati Reds team hasn't done in years. They're stealing bases. They're taking the extra base. They're putting pressure on the defense. So it's just the excitement is one and the same with this city and this team. And I mean, there's players like Ellie that are doing the marketing by himself. I mean, that's a given.
Mm-hmm.
He's national. I mean,
but then
we have right, exactly. It doesn't help or it doesn't hurt. Sorry. But then you got players like Matt McLean, TJ Friedel, Nick Senzel's been there. They're just these hard-nosed guys that take the extra base, and they really reflect what the city's about. And this city is going to get behind this team when they're playing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about just tying each other together and really striking a chord with the fan base and the city and being able to keep that excitement up. Even when things aren't going that well, we still have these players. They're going to do something you haven't seen before on a baseball field. I mean, Ellie's breaking a new record every week. He may not be hitting as well as you want him to, but he's doing something insane on defense, or he's stealing 3 bases on 2 pitches. So, I mean, the excitement is there, and this team can capitalize off of it.
Are there, or I should say, there probably are challenges, but what have been the challenges with the messaging and everything like that?
Definitely. I mean, you don't want to push one player too much. I think that's sometimes a challenge. I think that kind of the national media can do that sometimes. They can kind of shove a player down your throat, especially when they're coming up. Not just with the Reds, you've seen that around the league. But it's really about just highlighting the entire team, because baseball is a team sport. So not one player is going to win it by themselves, and you have an entire team that's closely connected, and you want to highlight everyone and what they're doing together. I mean, we had that 12-game win streak in June, and it was just every night somebody new was stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really exciting time to be able to highlight everybody on the team, and somebody each night was getting their own highlight. And together they were celebrating each other and giving each other kind of the glory for that. And it was really amazing to see. And that's still happening now.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's a blessing and a curse. You know, you have a player that's so exciting, and you just want, like, you know, it's going to get clicks, you know, it's going to get engagement. So you're like, why not do it? But like when you have Ellie, and then, you know, maybe one about, what's his name? TJ Friedel, you know, and then, oh, let's just do Ellie again. You know, I understand that. You can get a little stale, and like I know there's excitement, but like I feel like it's different with a major league team where, you know, fan bases know that there's more than one player to a team, rather than,
exactly,
you know, like in our case again with Churriel, like we could just push Churriel all we wanted and it would get clicks because he's just a prospect and we were a minor league team. So like no one really cares who's on the roster on a minor league team. You know, no one really cares. And in actuality, we were pushing to the, you know, Milwaukee Brewers fan base really, rather than just the Timber Rattlers fan base. So it was a little different, but you know, like with you guys, like there's different consideration, and you're making sure the team gets coverage rather than just one dude. I mean, obviously, like post percentage, you know, for a player may lean a little bit more towards Ellie because obviously he's exciting. You know, he just brings that. You know, that's just you
exactly.
know, kind of got to lean into that a little bit, but. You know, yeah, giving the love, whether it is deliberate love to other players, but also, you know, making sure things are a little bit different and not, yeah, like you said, like with national media, just shoving things down people's throats, you know, especially within sports. So, yeah, completely understand that. Like, I had a feeling that may have been, you know, one of the main challenges. It's like, you know, things are so exciting. You want to push him. You want to make sure that he's out there, and you know you're gonna get clicks every time. But it's like it's the Cincinnati Reds, not the LA De La Cruz, like LA De La Cruz Reds, you know. But yeah, it always is very, you know, I've said exciting a couple times here, but it always is very exciting to see, you know, to see how everything kind of pans out with like new players coming up and stuff like that, and making sure, you know, how can we push this to the limit to make sure, you know, that one, our fans are informed, but two, our fans stay informed and stay engaged and everything like that. Like I feel like that's always the happy medium, you know, when something new comes along, you know.
Right, yeah. And like I keep saying, it's pushing the limits. I mean, even outside of design, it's in the communications and marketing departments. It's how far can we take it, but at the same time, make sure we're relating it to the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a challenge, but I mean, it's not a bad challenge to have when you have a player like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, hopefully he's here for the long haul and we continue to get to highlight him.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of enjoy him while he's around and continue to make sure you highlight him and highlight the entire team and the effect that they're having together.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So one last thing I want to ask you before we kind of sign off here. What are your goals within your career? You personally, be a little selfish here.
That's definitely a good question. Definitely number one on my goals was to get to this point.
Right.
I always wanted to be in Cincinnati. I especially wanted to be with the Reds. That was a huge goal marked off for me. Kind of more of a personal goal is to continue to make those people closest to me proud.
Mm-hmm.
I do come from a family that was a huge Cincinnati Reds fan family, and I want to continue to impress them and make them proud of me. My mom and my dad are my biggest fans. They're also sometimes my biggest critics.
Right.
My girlfriend has been a huge help. She means the world to me. She helps me out on designs when I get stuck. So I just want to continue to pay that forward to them. Kind of an aside here. This is a funny story. I told her that my girlfriend, I had to tell, relating to my parents being my biggest critic sometimes. July 4th weekend, I had made a graphic, and we got some mixed signals between the social media director and I, so I had to make something relatively quickly. And it got posted because I was leaving the office for the weekend. And I'm driving home from my girlfriend's parents, and I get a call from my dad. And I answered. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, without even missing a beat, he goes, "Did you make that 4th of July graphic?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "It looked like shit."
Oh, thanks, Dad.
So I go, I was just silent. He goes, "Are you still there?" I go, "Yeah, thanks for telling me that." He goes, "Well, I can't like everything you make," and then hangs up on me. so, so I
That's
definitely want to make
fantastic.
sure I'm making hit. Yeah, that's just a funny story I had to share. I'm sure he'll yell at me for sharing that, but
That's fantastic. I love that.
I want to continue to make those closest to me proud, and I want them to be proud of the work that I'm doing and the effort that I'm putting in. I mean, I owe it to them. They got me to this point. I owe it to the people that took a chance on me. Our creative team has been incredible. They took a chance on a kid that wasn't graduated of college, and I'm sure they had 10 other applicants that were better than me, but they're letting me live out a dream. I can't be more grateful for that. So, but in terms of long-term goals, I'd love to stay with the Reds as long as possible. I mean, in
Hmm.
whatever capacity they deem me, this is my passion. This is my dream job. Like I said, it's just great to wake up every day and be able to go to a place where you feel appreciated.
Hmm.
And it's hard to ever see myself leaving that, but I understand that there's situations that can arise and cause that.
Hmm.
Um, if I were to ever have to go back to college sports in some capacity, I'd love to make a stop back at IU just because I had so many great people there that I worked with,
Hmm.
administration wise, coaching wise, creative team wise. It's just if there's anybody out there listening to this podcast and they're thinking about places to go for college that they want to kind of explore the creative field, go to IU, learn more about the Cuban Center. There are so many resources there that'll help you out. It's the best decision of my life. I grew up a Purdue fan, diehard Purdue fan. I hated IU growing up. I took a campus visit to IU, hated it. I swore I was going to go to Purdue. I ended up IU. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. So follow your dreams, take chances. I mean, don't ever be too scared to try out something new.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for being on today. Fantastic conversation with you. I know we've recently connected on Twitter, but it was fantastic to hear that you've been listening to the podcast, and now having your chance to be on, and I'm super grateful that we've had this conversation. I've been able to learn a little bit more about you and your process and everything, and yeah, thank you for being on today. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate you, man. It's been an honor. Like you said, I'm a fan of the podcast, so it's great to be on here. This is my podcast debut, so I can't think of a better place to be making it. Congratulations on 90 episodes. So here's to another 90 and another 90 after that. Keep doing what you do. So
Hell yeah.
I appreciate the insight that you bring to all the creatives and all the people that you bring on. So it's been a joy listening. So I'll continue to be a fan. And
Fantastic.
don't be a stranger to reach out. We can connect more than just Twitter DMs.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I have to find myself in Ohio every once in a while. I gotta
Yeah.
go there. I got like Brad and I have been friends for forever. I got to meet him eventually in person, and now I'm adding you to the list. I got to meet you in person. Oh my
Let's get
goodness.
you and Brad down here to a Reds game, and we'll all hang out and connect. And
Oh, that'd
I've
be
I've been a fan of
fantastic.
his stream, so let's do it.
Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe fuck it. We're talking about it. We're doing it.
There we
We'll
go.
we'll start the conversation. Oh my goodness. For the audience, anyways, go down below. Check out all of Brant's links. Check out his Twitter, his gondola, his portfolio, and everything. Go down below. Check out all his links. Connect with him. And yeah, thank you for coming out today to episode 90. Hope you have a great rest of your day, month, week, whenever you are watching this. And as always, make sure you tell someone that you love them. All right, we will take it easy. You will take it easy. We will see you in episode 91. Peace.